Benton Harbor. Man, I haven't been to a place quite as sad as Benton Harbor, and the Orchards Mall may be the saddest mall I've ever seen. For starters, it was difficult to tell if it was even open, but lo and behold, the doors swung open and I'm in. Let's go for a walk and discuss this mall. The Orchards Mall would take quite a while to get off the ground, with proposals going back to 1974 unveiled by the Meyer C. Weiner Company. Had that proposal gone through, we would have been looking at the Pipestone Mall instead of the Orchards Mall. However, the Pipestone Mall never happened despite Hudson's being rumored as an anchor for the mall. Instead, Westcor would get approval to build on the same site and would sign on JCPenney and Sears as original anchors in 1977. Just like that, the Orchards Mall was confirmed and the mall would open as an L shape in 1979. At the time, Carson Perry Scott was said to be the third anchor of the mall, but it never came to be. But it's not like the mall was DOA. It hosted Walgreens, The Great Hot Dog Experience, Fox Jewelry, Richmond Brothers, The Gap, GNC, KB Toys, Sofro Fabrics, and Musicland, just to name a few. And over the years, the mall was no stranger to community events, including fashion extravaganzas. They also had a thing called Law Days, where law enforcement agencies could set up exhibits outlining concerns with the criminal justice system. Knowing the state of Benton Harbor today, I'm gonna assume this was a resounding failure, but we'll come back to that later. It wouldn't be until 1992 when the mall would get an official third anchor, as we just saw, Elder-Beerman. But this did prompt the mall to update its image and remove a lot of 70s touches, like orange carpet benches. Meanwhile, Walgreens would move out sometime in the mid-90s and wouldn't be replaced by Jo-Ann Fabric and Crafts until the 2000s. However, the mall was helping over the years to foster a retail corridor for the region, drawing in a Meijer in 1980, as well as Lowe's Home Improvement in 1994. And west of the mall were big box stores also going up in the 90s, as well as Walmart to the south of the mall. However, looking at the mall today, you can see it is desolate, and there's, well, maybe a couple small businesses left, as well as Jo-Ann and the US Postal Service. Well, there was Jo-Ann, we'll get to that later. What killed the mall? Well, doing some digging, I found a local testimony from deadmalls.com that speaks of crime and poverty building up in Benton Harbor proper, and it was beginning to bleed over into the mall and began reaching a boiling point by the late 90s. Robberies and shoplifting became problematic, and while no murders happened inside the mall itself, a manager for a Red Lobster nearby did get murdered, and an Aldi store ended up getting robbed at gunpoint. Checking the newspaper archives, these stories do hold up. The robbery suspect for Aldi's was tracked down and arrested, and a fundraiser was held for the Red Lobster victim, and Red Lobster would pull out of Benton Harbor shortly after. Muggings were also happening throughout the mall parking lot, and all of this activity would cause tenants to begin bailing on the mall. While Elder-Beerman, Sears, and JCPenney remained at the mall, soldiering on into the void, the mall itself began to crash and burn, having a reported 50% occupancy at the beginning of the 2000s. And it would only get worse from there. Sure, Bath & Body Works came into the picture, but they too would leave in 2020 for another location. Sears would decide against renewing their lease in 2009 and would close their doors. The owner of the Sears building would then donate it to a church, much to the chagrin of the mall owners at the time. But the mall continued to operate into the 2010s and even the early 2020s. Even with Kohan Retail taking over the mall circa 2014, it still continued through thick, thin, and unpaid bills. But things were budging as JCPenney would close their doors in 2019, and Elder-Beerman, whom was rebranded into Carson's by 2011, would close their doors in 2018 as the Bon-Ton, the parent company of Carson's and Elder-Beerman, was going through the early stages of bankruptcy at the time. Even Joanne wanted out of the mall by 2021, and they would flee the mall shortly after my arrival. I have to specify my arrival so certain people who have to know will have an idea of when I was there. Redevelopment for the Orchards Mall was announced, but these plans never materialized as of the making of this video. Selective demolition was supposed to happen on the JCPenney wing of the mall to the food court, which is why it's barricaded off. But this apparently never happened either as of 2022. If this has happened, someone update me, please. And then, disaster as a water main burst within the mall, forcing its final 3 businesses to close temporarily. Dr. Z's Mattresses, the Open Box Outlet, and the U.S. Postal Service. As of 2023, the mall is expected to be redeveloped any day now, and I cannot believe it has not officially closed. I try to remain hopeful for many malls, even as my own audience and friends turn against me and say it's over. But with this mall, I have to concede. I think it's time to put it out of its misery. I tend to get just a little bit emotional when I start seeing murals of the mall over the years, plastered on the walls. The Orchards Mall looked like it was a great place once upon a time, but those days are over. It's probably better that I don't have a lot of time to talk about Benton Harbor itself. It is a grim town, and I'll just leave it at that. Thanks for having me, Benton Harbor, and until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Orchards Mall farewell and get your act together.